Today, we're going to do things a little differently than normal. Today, we're going to have a conversation. A conversation about a topic that's near and dear to many gamers' hearts. Backlog. And if you're a gamer, the chances are you have a backlog of games that you've just been meaning to play and just haven't gotten around to. It's the pretty common problem. And it's pretty frustrating, to be honest. My own backlog is extremely large. I won't say the number, but it's in the 4 digits. Now, in this video, I'll share some tips of how to actually start dwindling down and beating that backlog so you can finally start playing games you've had sitting on your shelf for months, or in some cases, even years. I promise I'll get to you. Now, before I get to that, what exactly makes me qualified to give these tips? Well, for the better part of the last 4 years on Twitch, I was going through my own backlog. On average, I beat about 106 games a year, which might sound like a lot to some and not a lot to many, but to me, that was really good. But I'll tell you this. First tip is you have to prioritize your backlog. When it comes to prioritizing it, it's important. You have to remember you're doing this for yourself. Don't feel pressured to play a game just because it's popular or just because your friends are playing it. Though if you want to play something to play along with your friends, that's a totally different ball game in itself. But focus on games that genuinely interest you and that you're actually excited to play. By doing this, you'll be much more motivated to make progress on the backlog and have a more enjoyable gaming experience overall. Categorizing games can also be helpful when it comes to avoiding burnout. If you're feeling tired of a certain genre or a certain console, switch things up and play something different. This will keep things fresh and prevent you from getting bored or burnt out. I mean, if you're trying to go through the entire Legend of Heroes series in one go, you're probably going to end up getting burned out because that's a lot of very, very long games all at once. I know because I tried to do with the Yakuza series. Didn't work out so well. And remember, your backlog doesn't have to be completed in any specific order. It's okay to jump around and play games based on your mood or interests or the time you have. It can actually be a great way to keep things interesting and prevent you from getting stuck on a game that you're not even enjoying. Overall, prioritizing your backlog is about being honest with yourself and focusing on games that you're truly interested in playing. By doing this, you'll be motivated to make progress, and you'll have a much more enjoyable gaming experience overall. Now, it's also important to remember that your backlog is your backlog. It's a reflection of your personal gaming preferences and habits. No two backlogs are the same. Even if they have the same games, they're not the same. Some gamers may prefer to focus on completing one game at a time. Others might enjoy juggling multiple games simultaneously. I've heard of people doing as many as 9 games at one time, and I truthfully have no idea how they can focus on that many games at once and not forget where they were when they came back. But the key is finding a strategy that works for you and stick to it. Setting realistic goals and timelines can help you make steady progress without feeling overwhelmed. And you don't want to feel discouraged either. It's important that the ultimate goal is in mind. That ultimate goal is to have fun, to enjoy the games that you're playing. So don't be too hard on yourself if you don't make your goals right away. Take your time, enjoy the journey, and celebrate accomplishments along the way. Remember, gaming is supposed to be a fun and enjoyable experience. So don't let your backlog become a source of stress or frustration. By finding a strategy that works for you and staying motivated, you can beat the backlog and finally start playing games you've been meaning to. Now, this one hits home for me really hard, but it's important that you remember that new games are always going to be released, and it's impossible to play them all. I constantly say my backlog will outlive me. But by resisting the urge to buy every new game that comes out, you'll not only save money, but also prevent your backlog from growing even larger. Instead, focus on the games you already own and make progress on your backlog. Now, this doesn't mean you can't enjoy the new releases. Ain't that right, Estelle? Estelle seems to agree to that. You just gotta be mindful how much time you're spending on them. Setting a limit for how much time that you'll spend on new games each week can help you stay focused on your backlog while still allowing you to enjoy the latest titles. By doing this, you'll be able to strike a balance between playing new games and making progress on your backlog. Remember, the ultimate goal is to have fun and enjoy the games you're playing. So don't let the backlog become a source of stress or frustration. Apologies to everyone for the little bit of shaking that was going on a moment ago. This little brat right here decided that she wanted to get behind my monitor and start playing around with it. Isn't that right, you little brat? This is Estelle. This is my baby. Yeah. She officially destroyed the backlog because she destroyed the backdrop that we were using on Twitch. So technically, she's the one that's got the tips, but she's got to go. Go on, honey. Now, back to the actual tips. It's easy to underestimate the value of small pockets of time, but they can really add up when it comes to making progress on your backlog. Even just a few minutes here and there can help you chip away at your backlog without sacrificing any of your free time. I mean, how many times have you seen somebody actually playing a Game Boy on a school bus on the way to school, if you're, well, from that era? Or I guess now it'd be playing your Switch. Or on the bus or train on the way to work. Or on a plane while you're traveling. You gotta remember about those little pockets of time. And you gotta take advantage of those moments that can provide the much needed mental break from the stresses of daily life. So next time you find yourself with a few minutes to spare, consider taking that time to tackle your backlog and enjoy the much needed gaming time. You'll be surprised at the kind of progress you can make in just a few short moments. Also, a completion tracker can help you visualize your progress and see how far you've come. It can be incredibly satisfying to see the percentage of games completed increase over time, and this can provide a much needed boost of motivation to keep going. Or you can use a spreadsheet and delete them as they go, or get yourself a nice dry erase board and start just erasing them or crossing them out as you go along too. But additionally, completion trackers can help you identify patterns in your gaming habits and preferences, which can be useful when it comes to prioritizing the backlog and setting those realistic goals. Overall, using a completion tracker is a simple yet effective way to stay organized, motivated, and on track when it comes to beating your backlog. Another thing you can do is join a gaming community. Joining a gaming community can provide you with valuable insights and tips on how to beat specific games in your backlog. You can ask for recommendations on which games to prioritize, or get advice on how to overcome difficult levels or bosses. Additionally, being part of a community can help you discover new games and genres you may not have considered before. Without the community I had on Twitch, I would never have tried Metroidvanias. And I learned that I absolutely love that genre. You can learn about hidden gems and indie titles you may have missed otherwise. Overall, joining a gaming community is a great way to expand your gaming knowledge, connect with like-minded individuals, and make progress on your backlog with the support of fellow gamers. So, don't hesitate to join a community and start reaping the benefits today. Whether it's through places like Twitch, through Discords, Reddit, or the thousands of other places online that has gaming communities, there's definitely one that will fit you and that you can call home. And I cannot stress this part enough. After all, it's kind of been my motto for going on 20 years now, I think. Probably closer to 15, but anyway, it's important to remember that gaming is supposed to be fun, an enjoyable experience, not a chore or obligation. If you're forcing yourself to play a game that you're not enjoying, it can quickly become a source of stress and take away from your overall experience. How many times have you seen someone break a controller because a game is frustrating them, or a console, or other things? Don't be afraid to quit a game if you're not really enjoying it, if it's not holding your interest, if you're just done with it. You don't have to get to the end screen of every single game that you want to. Sometimes you play for a while and decide a game just isn't for you. By focusing on the games that you're actually excited about playing, you'll genuinely enjoy playing, then you'll be much more motivated to make that progress on the backlog, and it will feel like a true accomplishment when you finally beat a game that you love. Remember, the ultimate goal is to have fun and enjoy the games you're playing. So don't let your backlog become a source of stress or frustration. I don't know how much I can stress that. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to move on to a different game if you're just not feeling what you're playing. It's okay to just stop a game entirely and say, okay, that's off the backlog. I've done it with a few games. The most important thing is to enjoy the journey and have fun along the way. Now, I hope that these tips have been helpful for you, and that they'll help you along as you go beating your backlog. If they're helpful or you enjoyed them, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. There's a lot more stuff coming along the way. Not just the top 10s that you come to see or controller reviews that have popped up occasionally. I've got a lot of stuff planned. some things I've been working on for months that just keep having issues for one reason or another. And and it's a flub. I'm gonna flub. It happens when I'm doing this off the cuff. Don't forget to leave a comment below with your own tips. If there's things that you can think of that I didn't talk about, you can help others. Heck, maybe you can help me. Because like I said, my backlog is large. The games that you see behind me, those are just the games that I've picked up in the last 2 to 3 years. There are still NES games on my backlog. But remember, beating the backlog is not a race. It's a journey. It's important to enjoy the process and not to get too caught up in the end goal. Take breaks when you need to. And don't be afraid to switch things up if you're feeling burnt out. It's okay to take a week or a month or even longer away from gaming if you need to. If you just gamed yourself to the point of not wanting to play anything, it's fine. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. No one's going to fault you for taking care of yourself. And I hope that with the tips that I've shared and the conversation that we've had, that you're able to make steady progress on your backlog and finally start playing the games that you've actually been meaning to. And until next time, this has been Azure Tony. Today, we talked about the fun in gaming. I hope you enjoyed yourselves, though. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And I'll catch you next time.